Hello and welcome back. My name is Dr. Cherie Johnson, your professor, and today we begin week number 4, and our theme is emotional intelligence strategies. This week focuses on what happens under pressure when the problem is complex, the information is incomplete, and the stakes feel high. In those moments, emotions don't just affect how you feel, they shape what you notice, what you ignore, and how you interpret other people's words and actions. That means emotions quietly influence decision quality. Our focus is twofold. First, you'll learn to recognize how emotions steer attention and interpretation. For example, stress can narrow your focus to threats, frustration can make you assume negative intent, and anxiety can push you to decide too quickly to relieve uncertainty. Second, you'll practice EI strategies that you can use in real time to improve both decision making and communication. Think of these strategies as a short reset that helps you slow escalation, check your assumptions, and respond with clarity instead of reacting. As we move through the week, I want you to keep one question in mind. When you're under pressure, what emotion shows up most often for you, and what does it cause you to do? For week 4, these readings form the evidence base for everything we'll practice today. You'll notice that the readings do two things at once. First, they help you understand emotional intelligence as a measurable, developable development capability, not just a personality trait. Second, they connect EI to real world workplace outcomes by showing how emotions shape perception, judgment, and behavior. As you read, I want you to focus on one theme that builds directly from the week 4 introduction slide. Under pressure, your brain filters information. Emotions influence what gets through that filter, how you interpret it, and how quickly you decide. So, our goal this week is not to eliminate emotion. Our goal is to recognize emotion early, regulate it, and then choose a response that improves decision quality and communication. Here's how I want you to use these readings for today's synthesis. Pull out 2 to 3 ideas that explain how emotions affect attention and interpretation, and then pull out 2 to 3 strategies that help you slow down, test assumptions, and communicate clearly when stakes are high. As we move into this next slide, you'll see those ideas translated into practical tools that you can use immediately in workplace situations. Here's what I want you to be able to do by the end of week 4, and it builds directly from the readings we just reviewed. First, you should be able to explain the mechanism. Emotions do not just show up after a decision, they steer what you notice, what you ignore, and how you interpret what's happening. In complex workplace problems, that means emotions can quietly shape your judgment before you even realize it. Second, you should be able to use self awareness and self management to improve decision quality. The goal is not to be emotionless, the goal is to catch reaction early, regulate it, and prevent unhelpful patterns like rushing, assuming intent, or responding defensively. Third, you should be able to apply EI behaviors in real time, both with yourself and with others. That means communicating clearly, slowing escalation, and keeping the conversation productive when the stakes are high. As we move forward, every tool and activity this week is designed to help you practice these 3 outcomes in realistic workplace moments. On this slide, I want to share a simple loop you can use for real world problem solving, especially when emotions are running high. Step 1 is attend. This is what you notice and what you miss. When you're stressed or frustrated, your attention narrows. You may lock onto one detail and overlook other important signals. Step 2 is interpret. This is the meaning you assign or the story you tell yourself about what's happening. Emotion often colors that story. For example, the same silence in a meeting can be interpreted as resistance, confusion, or thoughtful processing, depending on what you're feeling. Step 3 is decide and act. This is where you choose a response and communicate it under real constraints like time, policy, workload, and relationships. Emotions can push you towards urgency, overconfidence, avoidance, or excessive risk. The key point is that emotions steer the whole loop. They highlight what feels urgent, shape interpretation, and influence confidence and risk tolerance. EI helps you catch that influence early so you can choose a response instead of reacting. Use the anchor question at the bottom as a quick pause button. What am I feeling, and how might it be shaping my read of the situation? If you can answer that honestly, you're already improving the quality of your next decision. On this slide, I want you to notice where judgment typically breaks down when emotions are involved. These are common patterns in complex workplace problems, and you'll recognize them in yourself and in teams. First, narrowed attention. Under pressure, you can lock into one thread, one metric, or one person and stop scanning for alternatives. The risk is solving the wrong problem because you stop looking too soon. Second, fast stories with weak evidence. Emotion pushes you to fill in gaps quickly, so interpretations solidify before you check assumptions or look for discontinuing information. This is where misunderstandings become facts in your mind. Third, escalation and defensiveness. When the emotional temperature rises, the goal can shift from solving the issue to winning, proving a point, or saving face. Once that happens, the conversation becomes harder to recover. Fourth, groupthink risk. In tense situation, teams sometimes choose harmony over honesty. People hold back concerns and blind spots grow because nobody wants to be the one to disrupt the group. The EI move at the bottom is your practical takeaway. Slow the loop just enough to check three things: the data, the alternatives, and the emotions in the room. That small pause is often the difference between a reactive decision and a high quality one. Here's a simple real-time process you can use to protect decision quality when emotions are running high. Step 1, notice. Pause long enough to identify what you are feeling, what might be triggering it, and what others in the room may be experiencing. If you cannot name it, you will likely act it out. Step 2, name and normalize. Put a label on what's happening without judging it as good or bad. This reduces defensiveness and creates space to think clearly. It can be as simple as "I am feeling rushed" or "there is some tension in the room." Step 3 is regulate. Choose one strategy that keeps you constructive, such as a slow breath, a short pause before responding, or a quick reframe toward facts and goals. The aim is not to erase emotion, it's to keep it from driving the conversation. Step 4 is decide with intention. Make the next move that aligns with values, goals, and evidence. Then communicate it clearly. Before you speak, ask yourself, what outcome am I trying to produce, and what message supports that outcome? Here are some sources that provide some practical strategies for developing self awareness and self management, including mindfulness, understanding triggers, and not treating emotions. Now that you have a practical process for managing emotions in the moment, we also need a way to measure emotional intelligence in organizations. One common tool is the Wong and Law Emotional Intelligence Scale, WLEIS. This is a short self report instrument with 16 items on a 7-point scale that captures four dimensions. First is self emotion appraisal. This is how accurately you recognize and understand what you are feeling. Second is the other emotion appraisal. This is your ability to read emotional cues in other people and interpret them correctly. Third is use of emotion. This is how you harness emotion to stay motivated, persist, and direct effort toward goals. Fourth is regulation of emotion. This is your capacity to manage disruptive emotions and recover effectively after stress. As you look at these four areas, start thinking about which dimension is your strength and which one is your growth area, because that will shape the strategies you prioritize in high pressure workplace situations. We have already learned a simple process for using emotional intelligence in the moment, and we also have a way to measure it with a tool like WLEIS. Now we get to the big question: does emotional intelligence actually matter at work? This slide provides a short answer from the research. Yes, it does. First, emotional intelligence is related to your personality, but it's not the same thing. Your personality might make some parts easier or harder, but emotional intelligence skills can improve with practice. Also, it matters how other people experience you, not just how you rate yourself. In real workplaces, your results often depend on how your behavior affects the people around you. Second, research shows links between emotional intelligence and job performance. When coworkers rate someone as strong in emotional intelligence, that can connect to better performance ratings from supervisors. So we're not only talking about feeling good, we're talking about skills that can affect how well you do your job. Now connect this to tough decisions. When pressure is high, emotional intelligence protects your decision making. If you notice emotions early, manage your reaction and stay focused on the goal. You make better choices and communicate more clearly. You also help your team stay focused on solving the problem rather than escalating the stress. As we go into this week's activities, keep that in mind. We're practicing skills you can actually use that can lead to better outcomes at work. For this activity, you'll practice using intelligence in a realistic workplace situation. I want you to choose one scenario and work through it step by step, the way a supervisor or HR partner would work in real time. First, pick one scenario that feels most realistic to you. You can choose the performance and conflict situation, the safety incident, or the resource cut scenario. Each has pressure, strong emotions, and real consequences, which is exactly why emotional intelligence matters here. Once you choose work with your partner or find someone to work with for about 12 to 15 minutes, and you can start by identifying likely emotions for the key people involved. Well, that comes to the end of week number 4, and I will see you in the next presentation. And here is a list of the references and the sources that we read for week number 4. Thank you so much.